I'd like to welcome you all to the school committee meeting of March 22nd. As you notice, 2 chairs are not filled because Pauline and Esmeralda have issues to deal with, and so they couldn't be with us tonight.
Can we start without Laura? We don't have a quorum yet.
We're going to have Laura, we
we
don't
need-
have a quorum.
Don't we need 3?
We need to wait a second.
He's read Robert's rules.
No, I haven't. Who's this Roberts guy? I don't like him.
Well, I hope Laura isn't fooling us.
Hopefully not. She should be here. So we'll just wait until.
Okay, so 2 priests and a nun walk into a church. Okay, that's not Robert's rules, is it?
No. Not even close.
So how long do we wait, sir?
She's on her way. So you get to say that all over again.
The quorum is here. Well, I'd still like to welcome you to the school committee meeting of March 22nd. You have before you an agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Comments from the public?
Do not close. Okay.
Introduce yourself, Tom.
Tom Hanlon. I'd like to make a statement, if I may.
Sure.
Good evening to the chair, the school committee members. My name is Tom Hanlon. I'm a parent, a coach, a community member, and a member of the master plan committee for the better part of 10 years. I cannot tell you how proud I am of this master plan committee and the work we have done to date. During that time, we have spent hundreds of hours going over every detail in the construction of the intermediate school, from building location to parking areas to future location of a future needed middle school, and helped create a master plan for the school campus. Indeed, the same amount of time and detail went into the athletic fields. The improvements to the new grandstand, countless hours were spent existing topography to ensure the best use of our limited grounds and become ADA compliant, creating a proper track for our newly created track team. All of this in keeping with our unique ability to continue to be a campus, ensuring that our kids were safe to walk between the school and the practice fields within the campus. The same amount of time was spent on the turf fields. We analysed excessive play time on the fields, nearly 400 hours over the recommended usage per year, maintenance costs of the grass fields, the cost of irrigation and water usage during the summer, while the water company is asking the community to reduce water usage or face water bans. The cost of adding thousands of pounds of fertiliser on the grass to maintain these fields in a safe manner for our children, not to mention the environmental cost of these fields. We quickly realised in order to maintain campus fields as grass, we would need 3 additional fields off campus for practice and field rotation to maintain these fields at a safe level for our children. When you factor in the millions of dollars and space needed to build the additional fields, labour costs to maintain them, not to mention the environmental impact of tens of thousands of pounds of fertiliser and hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to irrigate them. This was a conscious, educated decision that was made for our children and the community to turn to turf for these fields. We spent countless hours finding the best up-to-date recyclable material the industry could offer. We looked at shock-absorbing pads to reduce shock concussions and blunt force impact injuries. We studied the infill and choose a natural pine bark infill because it was the latest technology that exceeded the expectation of the rubber pellets currently being used in national, high school, college and professional sports, where there is a growing concern and current lawsuits by professional teams because of the rubber pellets. Our pine bark infill has been tested and proven to have the same give as natural grass and far superior product than the rubber pellets currently used today to ensure the safety of our students. When we heard about the plight of our local firefighters and the concern for the alarmingly high soluble PFAS rates they were dealing with in their foam sprays and protective gear, we immediately researched the PFAS in our fields. We confirmed that our inert and insoluble PFAS in our products was absolutely no relevance to the firefighters we're now battling and a crusade that the PFAS Action Group were taking on. Just like apples and oranges, both fruit, but both completely different. But I guess that's not what the PFAS Action Group saw. In February, I placed a FOIA request for all communication of everybody involved pertaining to the master plan. Never in all my years have I seen such a heavy-handed attack on school staff, members of SMRT, scientific experts, and the Master Campus Committee members, with several repetitive, endless pages of emails, twisting words and cherry-picking small parts of our product information, and countless times the school answering the same questions, emailed slightly different ways, and wasting school resources. These attacks became more menacing and more personal to the Master Campus Committee, all the while they had to maintain a professional demeanour as it continued. This is a familiar tactic seen in the Martha's Vineyard's efforts for their turf fields by the same PFAS Action Group that we're dealing with now. But my biggest disappointment was the lack of support from certain members of the school committee and the clear conflict of interest. In my FOIA request, I found some alarming emails with comments unprofessional and unbecoming of members of the school board, calling members of our staff and master plan committee liars and that they were running a dog and pony show. So with that thought in mind, I would like to make some comments and have some questions to the school committee workshop group about the school committee workshop group held in early February. Could someone explain to me how a publicly held school workshop be organised on behalf of the chair by the leading member of the PFAS group? And that the so-called expert against these fields were picked by the leading member of the PFAS Action Group. And when the meeting was in session, most of the questions asked came from the same PFAS Action Group. Is this not a huge conflict of interest? Is this showing any kind of partiality? As for the experts that were shouting hysteria and doomsday theories of the aquifer being completely contaminated by turf fields, not to mention the mistruths and exaggerations they made. You had one expert that quoted in the paper talking about a $9.5 million water filtration system installed because of a field put in their town. She claimed it contaminated the water. We checked. The PFAS levels were due to the nearby landfill and firefighting foreman. It was years before the field was installed, and since the field was stored, PFAS readings have actually gone down.
Tom, have you got some new stuff? Because we've sort of gone over this.
I'd like to finish, if you don't
The
mind.
committee's not going to answer any questions.
I don't need to. I just need to
Okay,
make a
go
statement,
ahead.
sir, that's all. There was also mention of Vermont DEC background soil study in order to create a baseline that was not to be trusted because Vermont was full of ski wax and would contaminate the test. This test was done over 62 sites across the state with multiple different altitudes to ascertain an accurate level. One expert was out of Notre Dame. I'd like to see how he would explain how that Notre Dame currently has 6 turf fields. Another expert, while trying to downplay the use of fertilizers, and the fertilizer wash out in the soil and is broken down by the air and the water and the sunlight, and that the turf isn't. Just confirming that it cannot be broken down by sunlight, which was another argument made against the turf. And there are certainly no studies out there to say it can. In finishing, I would like to explain to the school committee and members of the public how small amount of estimated PFAS, because it's not detectable, estimated PFAS coming out of the fields. There is 0.14 pounds of PFAS falling on the well capture zone from naturally occurring rain and snow every year. Of that 1.4 pounds of PFAS, 0.004 pounds is from the fields, and that's mostly from organic pine infill. That's 64 thousandths of an ounce, or 1/10 of an inch of rain in 47 inches of rain per year. That's how little we're talking about. It's like a good foggy morning in Nantucket. And it's certainly in no way enough to contaminate our aquifer. I am mostly disappointed that all this information and mistrust has forced another year that our kids have proper safe fields to play on or a track to use. Another year of increased costs by the taxpayers to pay for a new field because it's not getting any cheaper. And it still hasn't solved the problem of soluble PFAS sitting on the grass and that our kids are exposed to and rolling around today. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Yes. So I wanted to share some goings-on around campus. There have been a great many of activities that have been happening, and I wanted to share some of the highlights with you. Last Thursday, on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, there were so many festivities happening in the district. It was really exciting. At NES, I attended a whole school meeting where our students sang Irish songs with Miss Ritter, the music teacher. They watched talented Irish step dancers perform reels and jigs, and had a great time. I was so impressed to see how well behaved our youngest learners were throughout this meeting. And kudos to Principal Kubish, Assistant Principal Albertson, and all of the staff who helped coordinate or perform in the meeting. NIS joined in the St. Patty's Day fun with a green competition from each homeroom in each grade. The winners were, at grade 3, a tie between Ms. Goodisle's class and Ms. Holgate's class. For grade 4, Ms. Faraday's class, and for grade 5, Ms. Swain's class. Art students across the district have had the wonderful opportunity to showcase their artwork in the Whaling Museum in a student art show, which is going on all the way until April 2nd. There will be a special celebration tomorrow evening from 5 to 6 p.m., so if you can come, school committee members, please do so. This weekend that passed, the NHS Drama Club presented the Addams Family musical, which was great fun. I laughed and had such a wonderful time watching these talented actors and actresses. They did an incredible job after 2 years of no live singing or musicals, and they really stepped up to the plate. I was so impressed and thrilled to see a diverse cast of very talented thespians. After several weeks of interviews, writing samples, presentations, dinners, and meetings, there are now 11 Nantucket Golf Club scholarship finalists, and one is sitting right here at our table. They will be presented to the NHS faculty tomorrow afternoon and will have their final interviews the first week of April. All of the students who have applied have been so impressive, and these 11 finalists are going to make it very hard to decide on just 2. They have the whole package: academics, community service, sports, extracurriculars, excellent college choices, you name it, but personality is fantastic as well. I wish everyone tons of luck as they move forward in their final interviews. COVID updates. The good news is I don't have very many. We have been operating under mask-free conditions for a little more than a week, and everything is going quite well. It is wonderful to see students and teachers' faces if they choose to go without a mask, and certainly everyone who wants to is still happy to. We're happy to have anyone who needs a mask or wants a mask at the time can wear one. We've had very low numbers of COVID-positive school community members since the mask mandate was repealed, only 1 or 2 per school per week. And this is really encouraging news. It just feels like things are coming back to some sense of normalcy. Although we still need to make sure to follow regular hand washing and safety around COVID-19. We are still providing vaccine clinics at NES through the Town of Nantucket's Department of Health and Human Services. And if anyone is interested, they can contact the Department of Health and Human Services for more information. So that's all I've got.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? I have a question. Were there any complaints about the extra 5 days of wearing the mask after we came back from February break?
No.
Okay. I want to make one thing. I was in NES. I was in 4 pre-K classes and 1 fifth grade class. And in 1 pre-K class, the girl looked at her friend and goes, "You know what? I didn't know you were missing teeth." She hadn't seen her friend in so long, and she was she didn't have a mask because with pre-K you leave. You might have a snack, but sometimes you're separated. But it was so cute. And out of the 5 classes I was in, there were only 2 kids that were wearing masks, and that's their choice. And Catherine said that that there's been no bullying in the high school as she can see. So that one little backlash we thought was going to happen is not prevalent. Right? Thank you, Chair.
Do you have anything to say about the play, Rocky? Since you had a personal interest?
That's true.
I wish my son was as good at his academics as he was at singing. And I didn't think that Tony Fox could sing because around the house he just. I think that getting back to, and I talked to Laura about it. It was unbelievable. I'm not sure who wrote that play, but it seemed like it catered to young adults, to professional actors, and it was good to see such a diverse cast. And I was really excited to see how well attended it was. It was very well attended. I went 3 nights. I couldn't do 4. That was just 1 too many. But it was very, very well attended. And I thought that the Sunday matinee was the hit as far as attendance went. But Ms. McKeever, standing O. well, sitting out, but great job at all the cast and all the people behind the scenes. And, you know, it's been months to put that play on. Months. Thank you.
Catherine?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Laura?
I just second what Rocky said. It was really wonderful. I'm sure everybody saw it. It was really, really well done. So proud of your son. Of course, I'm like, gotta get my fingerprints on that. No, they did a beautiful job. It was really wonderful to see them back on stage again. So bravo.
Okay. Presentations and discussions of issues of interest to the committee. Student Success Program. Mr. Vaselli? Yes, well,
Up to
it's
the
better up
microphone.
here because it doesn't carry over to the TV.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So I'm here to talk about our student success. Educational success has every name under the book, and none of it matters. We're just a supportive classroom for all of our kids. So right now we have 50 kids in the program officially, who have a combination of study skills, credit recovery, online classes, essentials level biology class, and an essentials level senior English class. So we run 6 out of 7 blocks. Kids have use of the space, all 7 blocks if they want to come down. And what we found is that this year, like with any other classroom, we're finding our challenges in terms of behavior, in terms of getting back to the norms, a little fatigue setting in for some of the kids, academically, behaviorally. But all in all, I think that we are on a great trend. So to date, we've had 114 visits for non-classroom time use. 32 of those have been for behavioral, and 80 of those have been for academic support and/or check-ins. So Q1, we had 34 visits with 17 behavioral referrals and 17 academic and/or supported referrals. Q2, we saw a spike with 61 visits, 18 behavioral, 41 academic or supported. In Q3 so far, we're down to 4 behavioral out of 40 visits, which is phenomenal. So that's, I think, the trend of the rest of our staff in the building kind of meeting the needs of the kids. Obviously, Assistant Principal Sarah Dellis and Ms. Vassal doing a phenomenal job of getting to the classrooms and meeting the needs of the kids and our kids understanding the expectations as well. I have with me tonight Carolyn Correa, Senior, who was here to talk about her experience with the program. We've been together 3 years. And she's going to give you an overview of what her experience has been like with us.
So, my sophomore year of high school, I was previously with Miss Davis, and me and her have a really lovely relationship. But I was kind of ready for more independence, and her support was great. It was really helpful, and her doors are always open to me, but I felt like I needed kind of to be more on my own and to give, like, myself a plan, and I needed to kind of get myself in check, and that is when I joined Vaselli's class. And, yeah, it's been really lovely ever since. I've felt like my independence has grown. I'm ready to go to school. I have tools to take to school, and I'm just really excited for the future. And he's helped me a lot with that. So, yeah.
She didn't need much.
I actually had one question,
Yeah.
but you mentioned like online classes, and I just wanted to like if I could ask if you could elaborate on like what exactly those classes were.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a online learning system called Apex, which offers a range from essentials level courses, actually middle school level courses, all the way up through AP courses. So I facilitate all of those. We have 20 students enrolled in those classes taking 20 class, and those numbers fluctuate depending on where we are in terms of the school year with kids. And so kids work on them independently. They can go as fast or slow as they want. If they need a blended model, then I jump in and I'll accommodate them with some teaching with the online material so that they are able to better get that. So it's not something that is put out to every student. It's through guidance and administration. But it's just another option. Those kids either take those classes in my classroom and or they go to the library to take those as well. So,
Thank you.
all right, KK, thank you.
Laura?
No questions, thank you very much.
What's an average day like for you? Or is there an average day?
I wouldn't say there's an average day. I think it depends. I think, you go in expecting A, and you just have to be ready to roll with every punch. Like some days it's meeting. And I would say my kids, or the kids who are in the program, have a great understanding of what the expectations are, be it the biology kids, the English kids, the seniors. So I have freshman to senior, and then everyone else in between. They understand because every day they come in, they're checking their grades. They understand that in my program for study skills, it's more homework, time management, and academic support. So in terms of the behavior with the kids, sometimes it's go, 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 and sometimes it's super duper quiet. It just really all depends. Quarter 2 was really difficult. The week before Christmas was really difficult. The week leading up to February vacation is really difficult. Those are just typical times when you see a spike in, for lack of a better term, and I'm not diagnosing anyone, but just school anxiety, right? Because we don't know what we're walking into when we leave. So there's a lot of counseling that's going on, and just we talk all the time about everything under the sun, from schools and relationships to sports, and these are all the different conversations that we have on a daily basis. And you can imagine the level of need. So when you're giving it to one student, you've got these other kids trying to get the attention. And what is great about our kids is they all understand that they're all in there for their own reason, specific to them. And I try to make that clear at the beginning, that while I'm working with somebody, that means they're in high need. And the kids really understand that. And having the peer-to-peer communication is key as well. Because if I can't get to somebody, then I know one of my upperclassmen will have a conversation with a kid and say, okay, we're not acting like that right now. There's a situation going on. So it really kind of takes care of itself. But there is no typical day. I'd like there to be, but
The peer-to-peer modeling behavior.
it's huge.
Yeah.
It really allows, and I think when the first group that I brought in here 5 or 6 years ago, those kids were the first group to really settle in, because I had a really rambunctious group of freshmen. They were the first group to really put that into action and say, knock it off. This isn't how, and I realized I can step back and we get more out of that. A lot more out of that. And then the best part is, and we did this right at the beginning of the year, is when you have the freshmen in with the sophomores and we sit and go over expectations and have the upperclassmen talk to them about how to navigate high school. And I can just walk away. And because those kids are so transfixed on the upperclassmen and understanding that, hey, I came from where you are. I understand what it's like coming out of middle school or a tough freshman year or whatever it is. And so it's really super beneficial. And kudos to Ms. Vassal and Ms. Saradellis. They give me that wide berth to kind of play with that in there. And then when I need those supports, they're right there immediately, backing up, which is phenomenal. So truly blessed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Thank you.
We're truly blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much. Friends of Nantucket Public Schools, Elizabeth Sullivan and Tracy Melu. I guess I'm going the long way around.
Good evening. My name is Liz Sullivan, and this is
Tracy Malin.
We are grateful for the invitation to come and report out where we are at during the school year right now. It's been a challenging 2 years for us as a board, but I think we're on an uptick with requests that are coming in. From teachers, our biggest fund is from staff-initiated funding. So that's kind of a bright side to see that teachers are actually coming up with new ideas to spend that grant we get every year. So, and for an event that we have coming up, June 10th, we have rented the VFW and we have Ecliffe and the Swing Dogs playing there. So that will be our biggest event in the past 2 years because we have missed out on the Holiday House tour that we usually do for 2 years. So I think we're on the upswing for sure. Tracy, do you want to add?
Our three big funds are the staff-initiated funding, which Liz talked about. We have a teacher coach fund where teachers can apply for reimbursement to put towards classes or textbooks, professional development opportunities, and our John Miller Children's Fund, which students are eligible, I believe right now it's $85, to put towards things like Student Soccer Association or LAX or Dreamland camps or whatever extracurricular outside of school activities if they need funding opportunities. We are definitely a parent-teacher organization. Right now, we're heavy on the parent side, the teacher side. So any parents watching, if you're looking for a way to get involved in our schools and your kids' education, the Friends is your PTO, and we are always looking for new members.
What is the average attendance at your meetings?
Honestly, the last 2 meetings, we didn't have a quorum, so we've had to table some of our voting items. And it is teacher heavy, so we have been brainstorming how to get more parents involved. And I think a lot of it is that as it's teacher heavy, so we're all really busy, and we just need to find and with Dr. Hallett, and you know, the last 2 years we definitely have been very quiet in that sense, checking in with everybody. So I think we recognize where we need to get the help, but we just need to get to that step. So I would definitely like to collaborate and get into the schools a little bit better. And I know everyone knows we're there in the school, and I know we have other things going on. So yeah, I think that would be great to get more parents involved for sure.
It seems to
Yeah.
me a few years ago, we used to have dinners like the Spanish Club and things like that. I mean, you could entice people in with a meal, which they can't do at town meeting, but, I mean, something like
Yeah.
that, something, I think it's hard to get parents in, not because they're not interested, but because there's always a because.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about, you know, this organization's going for 35 years, and it started with parents that, like, stay-at-home parents, and we just don't see a lot of that anymore, you know, in our community. Most people are working, and I think it's a time thing, you know, for a lot of people, and evening meetings, and we know what that's like as well.
But they're only one a month, so
Yeah,
the commitment
true.
is not too huge. When I first joined, our board meetings were regularly 25 to 35 people across the 3 schools at the time.
Lucky?
How many members, I'm sorry, Emily, real quick, how many members do you have now in your meetings?
10 regular attendees probably.
Did you guys meet virtually during COVID at all?
Yes.
How many members did you have then at your meetings?
We were hitting a quorum, which is 10, but we still keep them virtual and in person. So we're giving both options, which
My
is a good.
question is, I just, when virtual, everyone showed up at meetings,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, virtually, well, some did.
yeah. So we're keeping that option. So both the 2 meetings we've had in person have been like people can join virtually or be in person. So we're trying to keep that door open, which I think is a good point, that it makes people attend
Do you
more.
meet in the summer?
We take July and August off.
Unless
Yeah.
there's an event that we have
Yeah.
like subcommittees working on.
But yeah, our meetings are the school calendar basically.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Laura?
Yes, I'm just curious, do you think you'll be returning to those high visibility events like the house tour, which is my personal favorite? Do you think?
Absolutely, we
Yeah,
hope
you
so
hope so.
because it's a big fundraiser for us.
Mhm.
We have noticed in the last couple of years, well, I just this past year, we thought we could get it up and going, but there was just too many uncertainties with COVID, and homeowners were not very comfortable, and you know, there's a lot that goes into it, and we just didn't want to take it on, and then it just fall to pieces.
And
So,
we have 2 chairs already that have already
Yeah.
started
Oh,
working on
that's
it.
great.
yeah, and it's been going for 30 years, as long as the Friends
Has
has
it
been
really that
going. Yeah.
long? Wow.
But we've also found that in the last few years, it sounds very negative, but there's a lot of competition out there for that weekend as regards fundraising. So there's other places that.
It used to be like the event of
Yeah.
Stroll Weekend,
So-
and now there's also different other nonprofits have kind of taken on their signature event for the same. So when
What was Stroll Weekend, right?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
like, what would you say is?
So, for example, like 3 years ago, the NHA they decorated the oldest the houses on Main Street and had them open. So we even found there was people who were confused because they had tickets for that and for us, and then the Dreamland had an event, the chorus, the choir
there was some
one
live
night,
streaming of ballets and things. that-
yeah. But like we feel like we should collaborate with the community, and we'll all get together, and then everyone can have a piece of the pie, you know.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
I
mean,
think
it's a great event.
that's what we need to do, because this, you know, this it goes back to the community, to like everybody, like the what we do is the whole school community,
Right,
you know.
and
gets-
maybe you get a ticket, you know, and you get to, you go to all 5
Yeah.
events or something like that, and then everybody
Yeah.
kind of gets a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, bravo. When I attended with Joe Hale, I think
Yeah.
it was,
2 years,
4
yeah.
ago. And it seemed like you had a very nice board. at the
Yeah.
time, so, well.
The challenge now is getting new members to come on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind sharing. My kid is 20, and I am more than ready to pass the torch. So
Right, yeah,
Sure.
imagine. Well, we'll help get the word out.
Yes, that would be great.
Have you done any collaboration with the other infinite number of nonprofits to see if there's a way to arrange that schedule?
We haven't, but I think that is a name that I think we noticed it after this 2 years ago when we did the holiday house tour. So we haven't had it for 2 years. So I think that was because our numbers were down, our money was down.
we did partner with the
Um,
NHA the last time that we.
So they're one we partnership with all the time, because we do a combined ticket for the Festival of Trees. So yeah,
So-
they've been great to work with. Yeah,
So you're not all
Yeah.
stepping on each other's toes?
yeah,
That's something that I always told Kim Robinson, that for the Star Group, own your date. If you own your date.
yeah.
If you do it like we're doing a Star event on the 7th of May, after Tuesday Chicken Boxing is our 15th year, but you own your date.
Right.
Um,
Well, the holiday house tour is always the Friday night of
And the thing
Stroll
about it
Weekend.
is, there's
Always.
got to be some way that you can work
Yeah.
either with the Civic League or the Chamber of Commerce. I think there used to be a calendar out there. Man About Town used to have a calendar of all the events.
Yeah.
But everyone has the same goal: to make as much money as we possibly can. Because I think there's over 150 nonprofits on Nantucket.
Yeah.
And after 2 years dormant, everyone gets their hand out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you own your date, and I think that FOMPS, was that stopped by Corky Raney? Was that
Correct. Yeah.
Corky
yeah.
Raney started Friends
Yes.
with the Public Schools, and it's been that long. But I think you guys all got to get together. Like back in the day, when all the bars used to close, the guy from the Brotherhood used to talk to the guy at Chicken Box, or the guy at the Muse, or the guy at. And he'd say, "We're going to close this week. You guys close that week." But you work together. It'd be nice if your little core group of people say, "Hey, listen, why can't we just work together on these dates so we don't like double dip?"
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or we could shut down the steamship and the planes for a couple days. I'll have to have something to do.
Mother Nature.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
good luck.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you.
The science curriculum.
Crash. Good evening. I am really excited to be here tonight to talk about some of the updates in science that we have going on across the district. So we really want to just review what's new, just a glimpse at what's new with the science standards, and then some updates and changes to our curriculum and course offerings across the schools. So really, like, the new science standards came out in 2016. For Massachusetts, but it was 2013 when Next Gen Science Standards were released. So we're approaching 10 years since the new science standards first came out. And the changes, the shifts that occurred were that we really wanted to have this integration of the disciplinary core ideas with the science practices. So the students are learning by doing. We want a deeper conceptual understanding, so we're really focusing on depth over breadth, and we have this real focus on coherence, which is about the topics. So I'm going to go through elementary, middle, and then high school, and elementary is both Nantucket Elementary School and Nantucket Intermediate School. In January of 2020, before I was in this role, I was teaching the oceanography course, and I was the coordinator for the K-5 science curriculum review, and I worked with 6 teachers to review the curriculum that was out there and select what we wanted to use moving forward. Of the 6 teachers that were on the committee, we have 3 that are left in the school system, which is a little bit of a challenge because they did some of the deep learning, and so we were hoping to use them as we rolled out the curriculum. Just briefly, like, why is elementary science important? We can get into the fact that if the students have more experiences, then it's going to increase their comprehension, or it'll provide great context for them to learn about math. But really, to me, what it is all about is equity. What the research is showing, that if students aren't exposed to science before the age of 12, they are opting out of STEM careers by the age of 12, right? So we need to make sure that we are providing them with those experiences at younger ages, whether that's in school, both in school, but also out of school experiences. And I found this report really interesting. This was by Bayer Pharmaceutical. The people that they interviewed and surveyed chemical engineers with minority backgrounds, and they said that the number one factor was their school of going into a STEM career was their school science courses and their science teachers. So that is the impact that we as a system have on the future for our students. In the curriculum review, I presented back in February of 2020, right before we went into COVID shutdown. And the teachers, to their credit, they hung on, and we continued the curriculum review. So these were the steps that we went through. I'm not going to go into depth into those steps because it's in the past, and we're going to focus on where we are moving. Some of the things that they said that I found really interesting is that the district had practices, but it was lacking, policies isn't the right word, it was lacking structures. So funds, time, materials management, curriculum to support the teachers in teaching science. And they felt like they were in a hunt and seek mode, trying to find a curriculum that was aligned, lessons that were aligned to NGSS. And they were teaching it, and they recognized it as a set of knowledge and wanted to make it more accessible, but that took time and energy, and so they know that they needed the support. So their unanimous recommendation was to adopt Smithsonian Science for the Classroom. And the things that they highlighted were time on learning, the relevancy of the phenomena, and it had integrated readings that had differentiated ability and languages. So the state recommends, in the first column here, in K-2 that we should be teaching 25 minutes of science 5 days a week, and at grades 3 to 5, 35 minutes of science for 5 days a week. That is a very high expectation that is not achieved very often in the state. With the Smithsonian Science for the Classroom, there's just so many different pressures that are put onto elementary school teachers in terms of what they need to teach. So that's one of the challenges. Smithsonian Science for the Classroom allowed us to, if we do it for two sessions a week, we can cover the entire curriculum from earth science, life science, physical science, and engineering. So that was an advantage. Right now, we have a model where we rotate social studies and science. So in a trimester, half the trimester will be focused on social studies, and then we'll flip and do science. So at this point in our adoption timeline, we are down in spring of 2022, and teachers are currently implementing the engineering unit. In the fall, they implemented the physical science unit. And next year, we will be adding earth space science as well as life science. I provided all the units for your viewing pleasure if you would care to dive in a little bit deeper. But that kind of wraps up elementary school. So we have the curriculum, it's in place, teachers are rolling it out. As with any new curriculum, there are challenges, and we're trying to listen and be supportive at the same time of teachers as they're taking on this new endeavor. In the middle school, we have adopted Open Sci-Ed, and we have a STEM engineering course for the first year as an encore where we are teaching Project Lead the Way. So Open Sci-Ed is an open resource science curriculum that was adopted. It was developed through a 10-state consortium, and Massachusetts was one of the states. So the field teachers in Massachusetts helped to develop and provide recommendations on the curriculum. And this adoption process was a little bit different because it is more of a state-led initiative. We received a grant that covers the consumables, the non-consumables, and there's also a grant that supports the professional development of teachers, which includes unit training, PD, in-school coaching. There's statewide PLC meetings for the teachers, and then there's implementation support for the administrators. So at this point this year, we have implemented 2 units at each grade level. We'll be adding 2 more units next year, and then 2 more units the following year. So this is a 3-year rollout. And if you had questions, I have the units here that we are doing. In our engineering course, we are focusing on Project Lead the Way. We also received a grant from MassSTEM Hub again for Project Lead the Way. And this is really an opportunity for students to discover, use hands-on learning, engagement, collaboration. Those are some of the key words that we are trying to focus on. This year, we rolled out design and modeling, and over the next 3 years, we are going to add 1 unit a year. So we'll be looking at green architecture, medical detectives, and then robotics and automation. Our real goal here is to provide more choice for students so they feel like they have more control and more interest and investment in their education. And then lastly, we have the high school, and our focus has been on reviewing and updating the course offerings this year. I know that Mandy Vassell and Jen Saradelis, sorry, Jen, spoke to some of the updates in the courses last week or the last meeting. Some of the highlights for science is that we are also adopting Project Lead the Way biomedical courses over the next 3 years. These are really interesting because students can take a end of course assessment and receive college credit for them. So it's a really interesting opportunity for students. We're adding an introductory physics course, which we are currently working on the curriculum review for. In conjunction with Egan Maritime Institute, we're working on curriculum for a marine science course. And then we've reduced forensic science down to 0.5 credit. Our goal in the future is to add more 0.5 credit courses so that students have more choice. We'd like to explore other Project Lead the Way course offerings in either engineering or computer science, and then we will continue reviewing curriculum that is currently in place. And so that was the scope of the work that we've been doing in science over the last 2 years. Questions?
Rocky?
I have no questions. Very thorough. Thank you.
Catherine?
I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
I just have one, the decision to, I understand you want to give more opportunities by the .5, but so forensics is currently a year-long class?
It is currently a year-long course, but the teacher's recommendation was to reduce it down to a .5 credit course, which means that we can offer it to more students because it's being offered more often. And then the marine science course is a .5, and there's some other .5 credit courses that have been added. So the goal is a student could select one science for one semester and then another science for the second semester and try to kind of create what they really want to study.
So more opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
What falls under the rubric of principles of biomedicine?
What are they studying in the principles of biomedicine? You ask a very good question that I would have to do research on in order to.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. It's an 80-hour professional development course the teacher will take to learn more about the course.
Okay.
Mandy, can you speak any more to it?
Put on the notes. Okay, then.
And introductory physics, how does that fit into this?
So the introductory physics, for MCAS, the state offers 2 different paths. Students can either take introductory physics and then take the MCAS, or they can take biology and take the MCAS. We wanted to provide, again, students more choice so that they feel more in control of their education. So we are offering it this coming year, and students can take it. If they don't pass the MCAS, then they would move into biology. But it's just providing, we don't want to have review classes. We want to have science classes where they are focused on doing the science, and then the test is just at the end.
Now, as I remember, physics was a lot of math.
So
Are there
that's
going
a
to be
really,
prerequisites or?
that's a really good question. So this is a conceptual physics class as opposed to a mathematical physics class. So it's focused on the physics of everyday life. So it's more understanding the physics of sports or the physics of motion and cars and things like that.
Okay.
So if I may, I can
Thank
actually
you.
give you a little bit
Sure.
more of an answer on the biomedical science. So the intent for Project Lead the Way is to make it more hands-on. It's studying the human body, systems of the human body, and how to learn to work with and prevent and cure diseases. Specifically, it gave some suggestions on like diabetes and those types of things that might affect the body.
I know in the design and modeling class for 8th grade, there is a biomedical portion, a project that they do where they devise a prosthesis. And so they're working on the structure and the design and engineering that.
And that with the Project Lead the Way, they match up some of the engineering with the biomedical science and how do those help each other out in working with the systems of the body.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Mandy.
Thank you.
Are you going to come back and tell us how this all plays out?
I would love to.
Okay. Moving on to the school committee progress and goals. Your school committee had a workshop where we don't vote, but we discussed some of the committee's goals and have we made any progress with them. We immediately asked Dr. Hallett where she thought the committee fell in their progress on goals. She suggested some goals for us to focus on because perhaps we're not as strong as we thought we were. District and school leadership. The suggestion that everybody agreed to was that we wanted to be more visible and attend more school and district functions so that everybody knew that the school committee was involved in the actual progress of our students in a whole series of areas. For example, the plays or athletics or the science fair, et cetera. District and school improvement planning. The suggestion was to continue familiarizing ourselves with the district's new core values, vision and mission statements, along with the Year 3 action plan of the district improvement plan. Objective 4, educationally sound budget development. The suggestion was to be active in budget planning process through the school committee ad hoc committee, also to assist the school and district leadership strategy for more transparency and collaboration during planning with regard to staffing needs. Another suggestion was to be more active in the decision-making when voting on the school's recommendation for a food service company to provide school lunches. This was a hot topic. We had pizza, we didn't have a sampling of the school lunches, for better or worse. For goal 2, student support, the committee agreed to focus on the following areas. Access and equity, the suggestion was to continue exploring Nantucket Public Schools diversity, equity, and inclusion practices through the diversity subcommittee and presentations by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Instructional Leadership Team. Then there was educational continuity and student participation. The suggestion was to continue supporting schools and administrators as they determine best practices for appropriate student behavior through policies and procedures. Goal 3, human resources and professional development. The committee agreed to focus on the following areas. Staff recruitment, selection, and assignment. The suggestion was made to continue to support the hiring of high-quality, diverse candidates with a specific focus on retention through housing assistance. It was also suggested that the community support student teaching opportunities by looking at a host program. Supervision and evaluation. The suggestion was to become more familiar with the supervision and evaluation process and to continue supporting the district administration during negotiations process. This also was a recommendation that we bring out somebody from MASC to help the committee better evaluate our superintendent, because it can be miasmas and swamp fogs trying to figure out what the question really is. Goal 4, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. The committee agreed to focus on the following area. Align, consistently developed, and continuously improving curriculum. The suggestion was to become more familiar with the annual district report card, as well as other district data that is presented and shared throughout the year. We also reviewed the superintendent's progress on her goals, and we received some information in PowerPoint presentations in what our superintendent felt she had accomplished or not quite accomplished or not accomplished. So that is a difficult issue to do with introspection, but I think it's worthwhile for us to talk about it at that point and move on, and we'll see where we are at the end of the year with the MASC recommendations around how we appropriately evaluate our superintendent. At 8:16, we adjourned. It was a long evening. So, the policies,
Sure. Yep. Did you want to ask any questions or have anyone?
we were all here, except Catherine.
All right. So We have two policies that we are reviewing tonight. These are policies that were found to be in need of update for our tiered focus monitoring report that will be happening, and our visit that will be happening in May, where we'll be looking at civil rights, particularly around equity and access for all students. So one of the first ones was policy AC, which is non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. So I won't read the whole policy, but I will focus on some changes that we made in the policy subcommittee meeting, particularly to add in a line that states an explanation of not excluding participation. So I'll just read this one paragraph that contains the changes. Nantucket Public Schools does not exclude from participation, deny the benefits of NPS from, or otherwise discriminate against individuals on the basis of race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, disability, age, genetic information, active military veteran status, marital status, familial status, pregnancy or pregnancy-related condition, homelessness, and we added or foster care status, ancestry, ethnic background, national origin, or any other category protected by state or federal law in the administration of its educational and employment policies. Complaint should be registered with the Title IX compliance officer. So with that, with those amendments, we are in a good place for submitting this documentation as part of the evidence of the tiered focus monitoring.
Beth, who is the Title IX compliance officer?
The Title IX compliance officer is Deb Gately, who is our special services director. There she is.
I asked the same question.
And our second policy is policy JB, which is equal educational opportunities. Again, a couple of additions and one small omission. So much of the same. It's language that includes additional groups that were not included in the previous policy that was last reviewed almost 4 years ago. So I will just read the sentence that includes some of the changes. The Nantucket Public Schools will offer careful consideration and sympathetic understanding of of students' personal feelings, particularly with reference to their race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, sexual orientation. We took out physical and intellectual differences and replaced that with disabilities, pregnancy-related conditions, and we added homelessness or foster care status to make it aligned and appropriate for civil rights requirements. We also added the same line, disabilities, homelessness, or foster care status, to the next paragraph that states, no child shall be excluded from or discriminated against in admission to a public school of any town or obtaining the advantages, privileges, and course of study of such public school on account of race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, and we added disabilities, homelessness, or foster care status. So small changes, but necessary changes to allow us to be compliant with civil rights expectations.
I have a question. Why did pregnancy and pregnancy-related conditions fall out of that?
Of the second one,
Yeah.
it's because that's the law.
Okay.
So it's that's a good question. We can certainly add it.
Well, I mean, I think.
Should
to-
still be
to
there.
Maintain it internally consistent, we'd have to add it, I
That-
think.
That's fine. We can certainly add that.
What's everybody else?
I think adding it is appropriate.
Yep,
Marky?
happy to do
Okay.
so. Okay.
And so we will bring this up to vote on it next meeting?
Correct.
Okay. Committee discussion and votes to be taken. A vote to approve the NHS Culinary Pro Start Competition travel to Foxborough, Massachusetts, March 21st, 22nd, 2000. They're there already.
I have a question. Aren't they? Yeah.
They're already there.
They are, and the reason for this vote is that it was overlooked, but with my with my blessing. I sent them knowing that you would permit
No,
that.
bring them back.
So moved.
A motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A vote to approve the donation from the Nantucket Dreamland Foundation for WCPS News Network Club in the amount of $100. Have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The March 8th, 2022 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The March 15th workshop retreat meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Rocky,
Jackie, second.
Second. Sorry, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, my bad.
Transfers and invoices.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, subcommittee workshops, work groups.
You're right. We met with policy, and you see the evidence of what happened in that meeting. We have been negotiating. I think we're close, though.
Yep.
And I also attended the Cape Cod Collaborative Board meeting, and much the same as here, their focus was on staff recruitment and diverse candidates, and also busing is still a big issue, and hiring bus drivers.
Okay.
I was on the Cape this morning, and there were some kids being picked up at 8:45, and these kids look like with a bus. They were on a bus route, but they were going to school at 8:45,
Wow.
and they looked like they had to be between ages 7 or 8.
Wow.
And I was wondering, and wasn't it something we thought about stagnating the times to help with the busing? Are they doing that in Hyannis or Yarmouth, where I was?
I think some of them have later start dates, particularly for the high school students, because there is some literature on them performing better if they wake up later.
If I may, that would be wonderful to look at. I know that could solve some of our busing issues. We do need to look at that and understand how that's going to affect our sports, because if we have a later start time for our middle or high school students, then they will be missing more classes and more time out of the classroom if they are being dismissed for sports, which could potentially be much earlier than, so it's just something to consider. There have been other issues that have been brought up around staggering because of care that is often given by an older sibling to a younger sibling while waiting for a bus to arrive, while a parent has to leave for work earlier. And so there are some things that we would need to keep in mind if we were to entertain that. But certainly it can be a discussion that is brought up. And I know that the Cape Cod Collaborative would be very happy if we made that change, because it means less, an easier search for drivers and just a different way of looking at things. The union would obviously be involved with that too, because it would change the start times. So
So it's a collective bargaining issue,
could very well be, yes.
ultimately. I just hate to think of my kids being in bed if I'm awake, personally. Student council representative, Catherine?
Hi. Sorry, I'm not really used to taking off my mask, so I'm gonna.
Catherine?
Hello. So yesterday was the beginning of spring sports, and it was very fun to see people carrying their lacrosse sticks everywhere with them in the hallway. So it was a good reminder to me that, oh, spring sports are finally happening. And MCAS testing for sophomores is started today, and it's gonna continue on into tomorrow for English. And I wish them luck on their testing. And we already talked about this earlier, but the Addams Family musical was phenomenal. Like, I went on the opening night and I was so impressed. My friends did, like, everyone and my friends did like such a great job. And it was so good to be able to see them in person and have them sing live again. So that was great. Really enjoyed that. And there was a science fair in the Nantucket High School gym over the weekend, and I went on Saturday to like look around a little bit. It was very good. I enjoyed seeing all the little like poster boards and like experiments that they did. It was very good. It looked like everyone was enjoying their time there, so that was great with the Mariah Mitchell Association and the community school. And students last week got to take photos for the yearbook for clubs that they are a part of, and it was fun. Everyone got to go up and huddle around with each other to take photos. And the chorus and band concert is having their concert tomorrow evening, and that's great for them. And student council still in, we're still planning for like future spring activities. We've been brainstorming some ideas, so whenever we do, I'll come back to report whatever things we decide to do. And we were just talking about the culinary club is off to compete for the Massachusetts State Pro Star Culinary Competition, so I wish them the best of luck with that too. And that's all I have to report.
Is there an update on how the team is doing right now, or do you get updates like that?
I haven't heard anything so far, but maybe someone else has.
I did receive an update. They did not play, which is incredibly proud of them because they worked very hard and the competition was really, really tough this year. So.
Bravo.
Okay. Agenda for the next meeting.
Yes, it's a little bit different than what you see on your agenda. There've been some changes since. We'll be inviting the Special Needs Advisory Council to come. SNAC will come. We'll be looking at a dropout rate report, obviously enrollment as the beginning of the month, and a presentation by the Nantucket Public Schools librarians. So we're looking forward to that. And then on April 12th, I would like to invite you all to a workshop on the Department of Education District Report Card. That is a document that is online, and it gives a very full a full description, really, of how the district is doing in a lot of different categories, particularly with our MCAS testing, and but it also looks at demographics and different student groups. So it's definitely important that the school committee understands how to find that data because it is always available, and how, so if there were ever questions from your constituency, you could certainly share where to be able to find that. So it's an important meeting, and I hope we'd be able to invite you and make sure you can find it. So we'll do a little computer work while we're there.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
When is you're gonna have a workshop?
So what I'm going to do is have a workshop on it so that everyone.
What I asked, I wanted to know.
Yeah, but I mean, when are you gonna do it?
Bobby, I know.
That's on April 12th.